All right, let's see if this thing's working. All right, we are live. So today, just going to keep exploring the market here in Birmingham, Alabama. And I figured I would go a little bit more northeast of downtown Birmingham. We got just filtering out on properties. Look for properties under 125 grand using the 1% rule, 3-bed, single family homes. Found this little property, 3-bed, 1.5 bath. Looks like it's going to need some cosmetic rehab. Windows all messed up. Flooring, I'm assuming, needs to be refinished. Cabinets are okay. Maybe you just repaint them. Maybe refinish the floor. Don't really trust it. I don't know what's going on over there. Let's keep going. Bathrooms, it's okay. I mean, it could use a little updating. But if I have to save on capital a little bit, probably save on the bathroom, but make everything else look better, which is a fresh coat of paint everywhere. All right, so let's see. For this property, let's go ahead and look it up. This is tophap.com. I'm just going to look up the score really quick. 104, that's not bad. That's actually the lowest crime score outside of Birmingham, probably because it's pretty far out there. It's not bad. All right, next thing we want to do is we want to Google hot FMR, and then we want to look up the rent ceiling for 35215. 35215. You can see that the rent ceiling for a 3-bed is $1,440, and the rent ceiling for a 4-bed is $1,600. $1,440 and $1,600. Good to know. Now that I know what the rent ceiling is, let's go ahead and take a quick look at the market rent. All right, in the market rent, let's plug in this. Oops, that was a copy. Let's get the ad in here. See if we can copy that in there. And the reason you want to look for the market rent is because you have to figure out what the reasonable rent looks like. So boom, right here, the number you care most about here is this number on the bottom right. See where it says for 25 units within a 0.75 mile radius, rents for $948. Well, even though the rent ceiling is $1,450, if the market rent is $948, chances are you're not going to get much higher than $948, unfortunately, because of the rent reasonableness test. And the rent reasonableness test states that you cannot charge more rent for your unit compared to an unassisted unit. Now, if you had to say, well, what if I get creative with this property and how do I charge more rent? Well, turning into a 4-bedroom all of a sudden gives you a significant higher lift to $1,356. So in this scenario, almost a $400 difference. This seems like a scenario where you have to pursue turning into a 4-bedroom property in order to make it work. All right, let's just give rough numbers here. This is for 1.49 mile radius. I'll just put 1.5 to keep it simple. All right, let's go ahead and get some estimates for renovation. So let's go for this property. Now, a rehab calculator, I'm going to go in here. This is $1,527. So I'm going to usually set aside $1,500 for the roof on repairs on this property. I'm going to set aside $500 to do some landscaping. I'm assuming everything else is outside is okay. I'm assuming I need to repaint the entire place, $1,527. I'm going to have to refinish the existing floor, $1,527, an entire home. I'm going to assume I need to renovate the entire bathroom there. For at least one whole bathroom. And I'm going to, let's see, is there a repaint cabinet? Kitchen, repaint, $3,500. That seems pretty fair. And I'm not going to add an extra bedroom yet because I'm not even sure if there is an area where I can add an extra bedroom. Let me take a look at the photos really quick. This is the living room. Yeah, I don't think that can be a bedroom. I'm just not seeing. What is this? 1, 2. Is that the same bedroom? No, that might be a different bedroom. I just can't tell whether or not this room is like a living room or a game room. This room specifically, because it seems to be off on its own. And this, if it is not a bedroom by itself, then maybe I can convert that, but no guarantees. But if I can, then usually 1,500 square feet, you could usually get a 4-bedroom property in there. There's enough square footage in there. So just something for me to consider as I go by. So I'm going to underwrite it first using it as a 3-bedroom, and then I will assume I need to replace the water heater too. So about 32 grand rehab right now. It's not bad. It's probably about right. Okay. So if I assume my rehab is about 32 grand on this property, I'm assume that I can get roughly, let's do 948 right now. Let's do 950 as my rents for now until I do the analysis for a 4-bedroom. Okay. I'm gonna use 25% down, and I want to assume my finance amount is equals to my asking price minus my down payment. And I'm gonna do about 8.375% interest rate. Right now, 4,624, no other loans, 2.5% closing costs, got 32 grand of renovation reserve. Let me go get my expenses. So I'm gonna get my property tax number right from the bottom of Redfin at 140. My insurance number is 77. So I'm going to equal 77 times 1.2, just so I can add a little bit extra premium for a rental property. I got 10% for the maintenance. I got 10% for property management. And I got 5% for vacancy. Okay. So as a 3-bedroom property, if I'm charging only $950 in rent, I would be losing, roughly break even. Not too shabby. Not too shabby. Because you're giving a 25% down payment. Make sure that's, equals times 0.25. Excuse me. Good thing I checked that for. So I'm paying 25 grand down and financing 75, roughly. So I'd be losing $90 a month. Okay, there we go. Minus 90. Cash on cash return is negative 1.8. And I was assuming a purchase price of roughly 100 grand with a $32,000 rehab. So I know that as a 3-bedroom property that I'm not going to cash flow, we can mess around with the purchase price only and see, okay, at what price would I purchase this home so that I can make, let's say, 10% cash on cash return on this property. All right, let me load this to 75 grand. 62 grand. 55 grand. You see why it's not a deal is because your rehab is so heavy on this deal. So there's no way they're going to stick this deal. So I'm not going to mess with that. I am going to do is I'm going to assume, well, what if I turn this into a 4-bedroom? So let's do $1,350 on the rent. So I'm going to increase the rent, but then I probably have to add, let's say, another $12,000 if I'm using existing square footage to add an additional bedroom. All right. If I add 12 grand and make my rehab 43,000, what am I willing to pay for this property if I'm getting and aiming for 10%? Boom, 50 grand. If I bought this property for 50 grand and I'm paying $43,000 for a rehab to turn it into a 4-bedroom, isn't that far-fetched, to be honest, but I would have to make it a 4-bedroom so that I can rent it out for $1,350 in order to cash flow $495 a month. And you can see why the purchase price needs to be so low, because right now you're assuming your renovations is simply all out of your own pocket, right? So that's why in this scenario, you need to have a very low purchase price in order to justify spending so much money on a rehab. So typically in this area in Birmingham, you probably really want to be within about 40 to 60 grand on your purchase price, especially if you're going to put about 40 to 60 grand into your property to renovate it. Now, can you BRRRR? Sure. We'll probably go through a few BRRRR examples over the next couple of days so that we're not only looking at conventional purchases, so you guys can see all the different strategies. All right. So for this property at $1,350, if that is the rent you get, what is you willing to pay if your rehab is 43 grand? Probably 50K. Now, what I'll do is, well, what if I overestimated a rehab? What if it's actually, let's say, half of that? right? You get somebody out to the property and you want them to walk in, and you're like, okay, what happens if they walk in and they say, oh, Ken, you have no idea what you're doing. We can do it for way cheaper because we have better contractors, blah, 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 blah. Now, all of a sudden, if you focus on the 16% return, what if you increase the purchase price now to 70 grand? 75? Boom. So if your rehab is $22,000 and that was all it took to turn it into a 4-bedroom and rent it out for $1,350, I would still cash flow $352 a month lower, but my cash on cash return is still 10%. And this is assuming your purchase price is 75 grand. So I did all of that just to kind of show everyone, how do you come up with your buy box? How do you determine whether or not something's a deal? And in both of these scenarios, as a 3-bedroom, it didn't work. But because of the significant lift you see in this area, when you turn into a 4-bedroom, you see almost a $400 increase in rents. That tells me you have to turn this into a 4-bedroom. And when you turn this to 4-bedroom, and let's say your quote is 43 grand in order to renovate this property, well, you can't really spend more than 50 grand on buying that property with that big of a rehab. Or let's say you overestimate it, you got a contractor out there, and this is why it's important, right? You have to figure out what's the deal. And as you get better and better at estimating your rehab costs, well, then you start figuring out what a good rehab or a bad rehab looks like. And you have to start building your team with the contractors and truly understand how to do it. Now, I have brought on contractors onto the podcast. I've literally brought Tyler Aiken from Kansas City. I brought on Rhett Wiseman. He has his own Section 8 coaching program. He has his own construction company in Birmingham. So just check out those podcasts on youtube.com/@Kent_HE. And at least at the very minimum, you will have a starting point for who you might want to reach out to do your rehab, do your construction, etc. And that's all this is intended to do. That's it. This community is meant to make your life a little bit easier so that we all can lift each other up, so that you can be a little bit less afraid when the time comes of taking that leap. Every single day, and we've been going live for 191 days now in a row, analyzing deals so that you can just copy my homework. All you need to do is just analyze the same property analyzed today using the same spreadsheet. Just DM me on Instagram @InvestWithKentHe, and my team will send you the spreadsheet. I've been very blessed and grateful that I've gotten all these offers. Not offers, I mean, these spreadsheets from other folks, and I've been able to modify them to tweak it so that I know how to underwrite these deals myself. And that's all it takes. So my sincere hopes that you take what I did today, put it on your own YouTube channel, claim it as your own work, pick one part, one sentence, and just explain it better than I did. Because the whole point of all of this is for all of us to get better together and lift each other up. Because that's the only way we're going to solve this affordable housing problem together. So, day 191. We're going to keep this going. Let's see if we can make it a day 365, huh? All right. Thank you, everybody. Hopefully today was helpful. We went through a slightly different scenario because we had to get a 4-bedroom property today. And then we also messed around. Instead of messing around with the interest rate today, we messed around with the rehab, right? And that's how you can play with different levers to determine, hey, what can turn this into a deal and what will make it not a deal. And those are all going to be skills that are going to be so critical in how you determine your buy boxes, so that when your partner asks you, hey, why do you think this is a deal? Not only do you understand and can show them your track history of analyzing deals, but you can also show them like, hey, this is how you turn this into a deal. If all of a sudden we go out there and we get an inspection and we get a contractor to walk the property, and now all of a sudden the rehab is different, well, this is how much we need to counter for, right? If the bid comes back from the contractor is way more expensive than we thought, now all of a sudden we have to go back to the seller and say, well, this deal no longer works at the price we offered because of X, and X rehab that needs to get done. This is now the price that we have to offer. And if it doesn't work, take emotions out of it. Walk away from the deal. Know your criteria. And again, this is not investment advice. Not soliciting any investments on this call. It's just simply showing you all the work and the thought process that goes behind it. And it's very, very logical when you're playing with just one criteria, one little bit at a time. Thank you, Magnolia. I appreciate you. Thanks for always coming on to the live, man. All right. Have an amazing day, everybody. It's late Monday night, but hey, it's all about staying consistent. I'll talk to you all again tomorrow.